Hey everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Fishing the 262. In today's video we have another jig tying tutorial. This one's going to be a bucktail jig for walleyes. If you've been with the channel for any length of time, you've seen this jig on my channel. This is the purple and chartreuse that I tie all the time. I still believe that this is potentially, at least in my neck of the woods, the most productive hair jig of all time. However, what we're going to tie today is a jig that's rapidly become one of my favorites. It's going to be on the Do It molds, just like that one. I've got it right here. Flathead jig, model JF5A. 5-cavity mold that pours as low as 1/4 ounce and all the way up to 3/4. We're going to tie on a 3/4 ounce head, just hoping that's going to show up a little bit better on camera. Let's just jump right into it. On the vise here, I've got a 3/4. It's poured on an Eagle Claw 570 black nickel. This is one application, you guys, where I won't advocate for a super premium hook, just because you're going to lose quite a few of these to the bottom of the river. It's just kind of the nature of fishing in heavy current and get a good base on there. This is 210 flat wax. Pretty much my standard for everything that I tie. I find it to be an all-purpose thread. It works good for my bucktails. It works good for my silicone bass jigs. So that's just kind of what I roll with. So we've painted this candy blue. This is ProTech candy blue. And I know what you're going to say is that walleyes don't see blue, and that's true according to everything that I have read also. Walleyes really do not see blue, so I think they're probably keying in on some of the colors of the bucktail itself, and maybe just, you know, when it flashes in front of their face, it's a reaction strike. But I've really become really fond of this jig. It's a 3-color tie. We're going to take our time with it. Kind of talk our way through it, and if you're new to the channel, you've never tied before, I want you to get a good understanding of how easy this actually is. So we've got a good little tuft of orange to start things off with. This would be the bottom of the jig, or the belly if we're relating to this jig as a bait fish or something. So once we get our length trimmed and determined, and always trim from the base end. Don't trim from down here, you guys. You'll lose what little bit of action that bucktail actually provides. So I always square off that end that's closest to the tail, trying to preserve as much action as I can, given the fact that, you know, bucktail is just real subtle. It doesn't have a lot of movement in the water to begin with, so we don't want to hinder what it does have. Square that up just a little bit better, I think. There we go. All right, so we'll get a couple loose wraps on this, and then we'll move on after we get it situated. Try to get that relatively centered, and these don't have to be perfect, you guys. Given the nature, especially where I fish like this, especially the Mississippi River, the water's so muddy. If they're not perfect, it's okay. They're not getting, I don't believe, that good of a look at your jig. It's more reactionary. But like I said, this one, I've thrown this a bunch over the last few years, and we got that cinched in there nice. It's just something different for me to throw, because if I'm out with my buddies, they're going to throw that purple that we talked about earlier. I mean, most of my friends that I fish with, if we're throwing hair jigs, they're starting with Old Faithful. So I always like to show them a little bit something different until we dial in on a color for certain. But, you know, I have a lot of confidence in it regardless. So our next two ties are going to be chartreuse. We're going to tie the lateral sides of the jig in chartreuse. I don't put any flash in mine either, you guys. You certainly may if you want to. I'm getting really low on chartreuse here. I gotta make a run up to the fly shop and get another couple of bucktails here, it looks like, because we're getting down to the base. Another thing we should probably talk about, when you look at a bucktail up here, you're going to get real wispy, nice hair. Down here it's going to be a little thick, a little more coarse, and it doesn't quite flow as well. But I'm kind of down to the base of this tail, as you can see. This thing has been used and used and used, so we're going to have to settle for some of this stuff a little further down the tail. But for the purposes of this video, just teaching you guys how to tie it, it's going to be fine. I'll probably still throw it, but I prefer this material up towards the tip whenever I can get it. Decent little slice of chartreuse there. We'll get that also trimmed up. Try to get it as close to the same size. And again, these do not have to be perfect in any shape or form, but I like to get them relatively uniform if I can. Apply that to the side, just like such. A couple of loose wraps here just to kind of get me started, get my fur situated there, my bucktail. I suppose if you wanted to tie these with craft fur, you absolutely could. If you didn't have any bucktail laying around and you had craft fur, there's no reason you couldn't do that. I just prefer the bucktail. It's just how I was taught, and it's how I've always done it. So we got that on there nice. We're going to rotate that. We're going to do one more decent little piece of chartreuse. And again, I'm struggling to find a decent piece on this old tail. I got to get to the fly shop one of these days and get rid of some of those short ones. Size that up a little bit and we'll trim it down. My goal here, guys, is to keep this video right around the 10-minute mark. I want to give the new viewers who have never tied before a little look into how to tie and just kind of show you experienced tiers, something that I've had a lot of success with. So, again, I think they're probably keying in on the orange and chartreuse that we're tying in here because, like I said, from all the reading and research that I've done, walleyes do not see blue as a color at all. It would appear almost black to them. So it's probably a combination of the bright colored fur and maybe a silhouette on a reactionary bite. All right, so we've got 3 out of our 4 pieces tied in. The last one we're going to finish off with is going to be just a straight blue. I just started this tail. This is a jig that I tie a bunch of, you guys. So this is a brand new fresh tail here from my last order. I didn't realize I was as low on chartreuse as I was when I made that order, unfortunately. But again, you're going to see a pinch. Try to get this on camera for you as best I can. And I'm going to cut way down here at the base. And that just is going to help the action of the bucktail. So you can see when I first trim that, it's relatively uneven, but we'll get it sized up and we'll square it off real nice so that it ties flush. I'm going to cut her right about there so you can see how rough that is right now. Square that up nice. We got a nice even end now. Hopefully you can see that. We'll get that situated. Nice thing about tying these big 3/4 is the hook's far enough back that you got room to put your fingers in there. When you get tying on 1/4 ounce heads, things get a little more restricted in the vise, but get that spread out the way I want it. Get all my bucktail covered up, lock this collar in place. You can put a pretty decent amount of tension on a 210 flat wax too. I know I repeat myself a lot in these videos, but I'm just trying to make sure the people that are new here or just getting started out kind of understand what's going on. All right, so I feel really good about that collar. Is it perfect? No. I kind of view these hair jigs as, you know, the F-150 of the fishing world. They're just kind of workhorses. They're not really meant to be beautiful. They're meant to catch fish. You can tie them quickly. I don't have a whip finish tool. You've seen this in my other videos. 10-pound braid. I just fold it in half, make a loop. We can give this a good 6, 7, 8 wraps. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Trim that off. Pull that through my loop just like such. Hopefully you can see that. Grab my tag ends and we're just going to pull that right underneath itself. And you'll see how that hopefully comes through there. Trim that tag end off and that's locked in, you guys. I fished them just like this in the past and not had any problems, but if you want a little bit of extra security, you can use some head cement, or I like the Sally Hansen's Hard as Nails. It's relatively odor-free in comparison to some of the head cements that I've used. This is much more subtle. So just brush a light coating of that on all the way around the thread to lock those in. And that fish, that's ready to fish, you guys. It just needs to dry, and you can take that straight to the lake. I've got one already pre-tied up here. We'll move this out of the way. This is a 1/4 ounce version of it. And again, let the flow of the river dictate what size you're going to use. You just want, I always believe in using the lightest jig that you can maintain a good bottom contact with and have a good feel with. So for some people, that's going to be a quarter. I know I got a buddy of mine who I've only taken out walleye fishing one time. He was going to have a tough time. I was using a quarter. So we bumped him up to a half. Just so he could feel it a little better and get used to it. And he picked up some bites, but again, I think lighter is better. When you're fishing the current, you just want that thing to kind of dance, and you want to be able to feel bottom when you hit it. So that's it, you guys. This has fast become my favorite jig. I have a ton of confidence in it. I've caught a ton of fish on this pattern over the years, and I think it's a good alternative. Like if your buddy in the boat is throwing that purple color, you can give them a little bit different look until you guys figure out which color they're going to kind of key in on and be more productive that way when you're throwing a couple different colors at them. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I hope you guys tie some of these up and have a bunch of success on them. Drop a comment. Let me know below how you do on these if you tie any up. I'd look forward to hearing from you and see how your results are. Thanks again for tuning in. I appreciate you guys. We'll catch you on the next episode. Tight lines, everybody.